Yeah, hello everybody. Very nice to see you all. So I'm trying to give you a first impression of Ember and Silk. So Silk is a web framework for Ember. Ember is a Smalltalk for the browser. So I invented neither of those, but I'm very happy user of it. So I did a little project for the COVID case numbers to try out what it's worth, and I'm pretty excited. So that's why I bugged you the last times to look at Silk, and now I will show you just a little bit of it. Okay, I'm badly prepared as usual, but since this is a pub setting, I hope you will forgive me and learn something about it. Okay, I will share my screen. Hope it works. Can you see that?
Yep.
So I'm not sure how to organize that yet. Okay. So first, what is Ember? Ember, generally, what is Smalltalk? Some people said Ember is not a real Smalltalk when I mentioned that. I don't think so. So Ember doesn't have any VM and it has no image, but it has a real Smalltalk language. And to me, the image in the web context is actually the DOM with all the objects in it. And I want to play with them live. That's what I want. So first, we just go through Ember. I will show you how to install it, basically, how to set up a project, change a little bit on it, and then make a deploy. So just to prove that it really works. And then I will show you around the tools a little bit and yeah, talk about it. So the second part will be Silk. So that is the web framework for Ember. Okay, let's start. So I go to my GitHub stuff and just open a bash on it. So first, to install Ember, you need to have Node, npm, and Git installed. So when you install Node and npm, that's the package manager for Node, will come with it. And since I'm on Windows, I use the Git for Windows, and that gives me also a bash shell. This is what I'm using here. So first of all, I create a new directory. Let's call it UK demo. Have that yet? Good. So, okay, we go into that. And then we just call, I just forgot to show you how to install Ember. So actually you can use just this line. This will install 3 packages globally on your computer. I can just do that. You can do that anytime, and it will just update things, hopefully. So just to see how it works, we'll give you some warnings. Yes, here we go. I don't know, some deep down deprecated things. Oh, and there's an error. Oh no. I knew it. I knew it. You shouldn't do that. Yep, I know what it is probably. I have another Ember open. That should not happen. So, sorry for that. We'll just try again.
It wouldn't be a demo if something didn't go wrong. It's all right. It
will be the first in a long row. Okay, it's working. And let's see where the error is. Now the error should come. No, there's an error. Okay, I could force it, but it doesn't matter really. So if you install it clean from the beginning, then there shouldn't be an error and everything should work anyway. So say you have it installed. And oh yeah, here it's very important to follow these instructions for installing Ember, because there are several outdated versions out there. So this is a real instruction. When you follow that closely, really closely, then everything should be fine. Old instructions use Bower, that's a kind of a task manager, but the new one uses only Grunt, and that's kind of cleaner. But use this, I can just show you to, that you can remember how it looks like. It's a repository from Herbert Wojcik. Okay, so this one is the one, and in the end you get how to set it up here. That's what we just did. And we went into our project, and now we do Ember init. That should be it. So no, yes, no. Oh God, it's really bad. I think I should do that again. I'm so sorry. So I force it now to do something. I don't trust NPM and any of those things.
Could I suggest sudo?
Yeah, you shouldn't use that actually, but you could. So no error. That's a good thing. So now let's try that, and now we go. So it will ask you a couple of questions to set up files and the insert of it. So I just use UK demo as the name of the library, and most of the other things you can just use the default. So the main class will be UK demo. The description, well, nothing yet. Author, email address from GitHub, and a namespace, and a version, and a repository, and a homepage, and a issue tracker, and author URL, and the license MIT. Everything is fine, and let's go. So that looks all very nice. What has it done? We have UK demo here, and it generated quite a lot of files, an index file, and very important, the grunt file, which defines some tasks to do things. Then we have the source. There are 3 packages created. The proper package, one for a backend, which I never used, so I cannot tell you anything about this, and a test package. Okay, and of course you get all the node modules, so it's just fascinating. It's 5,800 files and 692 folders. This is insane, mind me saying, but anyway, so that's how it is, and it should kind of work. So one thing missing is you can hook it up to Git with just saying git init. And then you can have in your Git repository, you can find it. So here we go. And here's the repository. You just commit it, and then you're online. Everything is fine. Okay, so now we start Ember. Say Ember serve, and it will open a port. So we add a new thing on this port, and we get, so here we have the choice of the legacy IDE that will be a browser and the tools inside the web page on the bottom, or the Helios IDE, which opens in a new window, which is nice. So now we're in Smalltalk. Wonderful. What we have here is the package UKDemo with the class UKDemo. So, and now let's see what we have here. This comes from the index HTML, which looks like this. So you have a head and you load the JS. That is actually Ember and everything needed. Then we have some HTML, so some text, 2 links, and 6 buttons. And then there's a list also, an empty list. The rest is a script which actually opens Ember. So this one is the starter dialog, but then the real fun starts here. So in JavaScript, it takes the Ember, which comes from a promise, the globals, the UKDemo, and then with the underscore, the methods, the class method start of this class. Okay, then we're in Smalltalk. And this is actually here. There's the class, and on the class side is this method start. This will just create a new instance and then call augment page on that instance. And here we see that for the buttons defined here with the IDs, we reference this element and bind a click handler on it. So that's how the buttons get to life. So what are they doing? So you can say hello from TagBrush. That's kind of a Seaside-like API web framework. You can do it the same from Silk or with a jQuery thing. This is old JavaScript style. I don't use it at all. You can log things on the console. You can, okay, let's do that. You have a little timer which gives you a pop-up, I think. I hope so. Yep, that's a reminder. Good. And you can inspect the status of something. So anyway, so the buttons are working. Everything is fine. This is how it happens. So you get the, let's say, the Silk tag as Silk. That will give you an element. So the DOM element, and you could just bind the click handler on it. And then you have a block, which is doing the right thing. So it will get the output list and adds a list item with this text. So, but this is all Silk, and I will come to that later. So don't bother with that right now. So are there any questions? I have to look at the, how do I look at the comments?
I have a question, Christian.
Yes, please.
Yeah, in here. Could you switch back to the last method you showed, the initial method?
The augment page?
Augment page, yeah. These IDs, these HTML IDs, these came from the index.html, right? So you're binding click handlers to existing IDs.
Here, yes.
Okay, yeah, so I got it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's important to understand this mechanism, to see that there's no special, no magic behind it. So it's very straightforward, I think. Okay. Okay, so does anybody know how to get the comments in the, oh, I get it, yes, I see it. Where are they? Ah.
I think so far you're good on comments. I don't think anyone's asked anything, so.
Yeah, you can just basically just call, and I will react very flexible to any comments. So here we go. So what else would I say? So this is here. So this Ember Surf, by the way, can be opened on any port. You just give it an extra thing. So now I explained how the index page and the buttons work. So generally, when you change something in Ember, the Smalltalk will be compiled to JavaScript, and that is executed. So as I said, there's no virtual machine and no image. It's just compiled to JavaScript and executed, and that's it. So you're sitting right on the JavaScript engine, basically. So, okay, now we look at the tools a little bit. So you have the main browser here, just the usual things. You have packages, you have classes, you have protocols and methods. What is a little bit strange, the documentation is not so good. So now I had a really hard time to find out how to do any action. So right-click gives you just a normal browser menu, and there are just these buttons: save, do it, print it, inspect it, but nothing else. But then I found somewhere it's Control-Shift, and then you get the actions. So a menu of actions, and you can use just the keys to select things. For example, if I would like to move this method, augment page, I press M, and then I get another menu, move method, yes, and then I move the method to protocol, that's T. Okay, and then I select a protocol, let's say begin. Poof. So now we have begin, and the method is in here. What's nice about this is once you're used to that, and you can remember these keystrokes very easily, very nicely. This is really fast way to manipulate the browser, to use the browser. I like it really a lot. So it's much nicer to get all the menus and look around them. So once you get the keys, you can mostly leave your hands on the keyboard to do things. Okay. So that's that. So now we changed something. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, we changed the protocol. So that means this is red, and with a command, we commit the package. So just K. So now it's saved, and everything's fine. If you don't save that, then with the next refresh, all your changes will be lost. That happens a lot in the beginning until you really remember that. So, okay. Then we have the workspace, of course. So the workspace has access to all the variables in JavaScript. You have the document. So Control P or print it. Just do the print it. It's just the same as Control P. So you can, for example, ask window location. So, okay, we have the location here. Great. So this location is not a Smalltalk method. It's not to be found in Ember. It's just a method on the JavaScript window object. So you can actually call any method in JavaScript just like that, just with a Smalltalk syntax, but you will call the JavaScript thing. So if we inspect this window, we get an inspector, and here we are the window, and you will see all the well, all the nice things. Let's try that. Self alert string right. Hi. And then I do it, poof, and it will say hi. So you're really live on the DOM. You can do anything you like, just anything you would do with JavaScript. So it's really nice. So, and it's horrendous how many things there are. Lots of things. So, well, you know, if you know JavaScript, you know that there will be lots of things for everything. Okay. Okay, of course, you can inspect all these things as well. So let's see if there's anything real to expect. Oh, we have the location. Let's see if we find that. I think it's down there somewhere, location. So we double click and then we get the location. Yes, it's an href. So it's actually a little bit more than just a string, right? Okay, that's it. So we have the inspector. This is a nice basic tool. Okay, what else do we have? Very nice way of doing references they invented. So we have, for example, this method onBind. So we can check the references on that. Bind there. Here we go. Return. And then you actually get the senders of it. You get the implementers on it. You get class references when you look for a class. And there's also a string search for this stuff. So that's really nice. The same you can do with a mouse click. So if you hold down Control and you click on a method, you will get the ESUG. Okay, that's this method. It's called here and here. And well, the string search doesn't reveal any more than this. But this is kind of interesting. Nice way of doing that. So I guess it's against cluttering the UI with lots of windows, or in this case, lots of tabs. Okay. What else do we have? Oh yeah, we have a test runner as well. So you can open a test runner here, and then you have all the tests in the system. Platform DOM test, and then you can run it. And they pass. 2 tests, they pass. 2 runs. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. So I don't do any tests. I'm doing GUI, and GUI, especially for prototypes, I'm not doing any tests. But there's a test runner, so everything should be fine for professional development. Okay. And there's a debugger as well. Let's say window.sorg. That should not be known. And do it. Does not understand, and we can debug it. So we get a debugger. This is not very evolved. So you have the kind of debugger, you can see the call stack, kind of. I mean, this do it was not very useful. You can look at the context. Yes, nice. But I don't think restart, where step over or proceed does help at all, or does work. So it's not a real debugger where you change code and rerun things. I think there's something on the to-do list to do a real AST debugger to have that. So this is not very helpful. And especially in the JavaScript world, you don't have a debugger. You normally don't look at the debugger, you look at the documentation or something if something goes wrong. Okay, but there is a debugger, so one is not completely helpless. Okay, that's it. So now let's change something in our nice code. So the augment page is called right after Ember starts. So we just say, okay, we take this. No, we just say silk new. This will come soon. This means it's the body. So, and then we can add to the end of the body something. Let's say my cool website, web page. Okay, so actually we can do that interactively also. So let's see what's happening here. If we do that, do it. A little bit smaller, do it. Then it will add this thing to the DOM, to the actual page. So let's save this. Again, here, oh, no, first we have to save the method. Here's a red button saying it's not saved. We save it. Then the package is dirty, and we commit this. Fine. So now we close it. Yeah, we can close it. Okay, and then we stop the server and we say grunt deploy. And then it will take all the necessary JavaScript libraries and modules and packs it all together in a nice the.js file. So there we are. So now the JS file is bigger than before. So, and this is our deploy. So we take the index and the JS, put it on our web server and open it. And here we go, my cool website. So now we need hand clapping. I think this is cool. Very easy to deploy. You just say grunt deploy and everything's fine. So to revert this, you just say grunt devel and it will set up everything so that the old small the.js will be there, 27 KB, and it will just dynamically load all the libraries it needs. So with Amber Surf, we're in the game again. Come on. Here we go. Okay, so this is Amber. Yeah, Amber. So we deliver this. So now let's talk a little bit about the Smalltalk. We can call any JavaScript language, any JavaScript stuff. So for example, let's say math. So there's a min version, function in there. Let's say 50 and 42, because 42 should always be the right answer. We do Control P and we get 42. Wonderful. So with JavaScript doesn't have any named arguments. So the second one here, the end, is arbitrary. So you can call it X, Control P, same thing. So it just doesn't matter what is in here. It will always be the same. Which is actually nice because that gives you the opportunity to give names to arguments and all this. Look at the documentation where which argument should be is obsolete. On the other hand, you can also, when you use the same method somewhere else and use a different second name, of course the references will be broken because Smalltalk will only find the real one, the right named ones. Okay, so min has also, you can have more arguments. Let's say now we get a width, 100, 49, and we Control P and we get still the 42. We can also have the max, Control P, gets 100. Okay, that works nice. And then I found, by looking at it, you also have, so max can have 0 to n arguments, so it doesn't matter. So Smalltalk will, Amber will just take all the arguments, puts it in an argument list and calls the right function. For example, max without an argument will give you -infinity. That's surprising. Min, okay, gives you infinity. That's surprising, kind of. Okay, so what I want to say there is with JavaScript, you get also the meta numbers. So infinity, not a number, and stuff like that. That can be handy. Okay, so JavaScript, easy to call. Anything you can access with JavaScript, you can access with Amber, just like that. It's a modern Smalltalk. It has traits, it has slots, announcements, pragmas, dynamic arrays, non-local returns, promises. Promises is actually nice. I just can show you. That comes from JavaScript, I think, but it's a little bit handy. So you have, for example, all or any. How cool is that? So you can have just a bunch of promises, and only if all are fulfilled, this promise will be fulfilled. Or any. It's really nice to, for example, implement a timeout with that. So I think there's a sender here. So find references of any, and there's a test here. So you have a promise any, you do some kind of promise, and then a promise with a timeout. So it will succeed either when the timeout runs out or the other promise returns. Very beautiful. So I don't have that in my home Smalltalk, in my Visual Works, but it's really, really nice and usable here in Ember. Or actually, it's JavaScript, I think, basically. Okay, what I want to say is it's really a very modern Smalltalk. It's actually Faro was the inspiration to put all these things in, and yeah, it works very well. One caveat is that there are no big numbers. So in Smalltalk, the big number automatic conversion is just very nice. It was not an invention of Smalltalk, of course. I knew it from this before, and maybe that was even invented before that. But JavaScript doesn't have that. I think they're talking about adding big nums to the standard, but this is a new type and there's no automatic conversion. It's not very, very nice to work with. But so far with GUI work, I never used really big numbers. So I think this is a problem, which is not really a problem. Okay, then interesting way to create a new package. So one thing is JavaScript, Ember is Smalltalk, but you need to go to JavaScript to do things, to do certain things. For example, creating a new package. We can do that. So we can say UK demo, and Smalltalk style, we just change the name. So we just say UK demo new. We save it, okay, and then we have a new package. Wonderful. And we can commit it. Good. And when we look at the things and the source, there will be the new package. Great. Unfortunately, when you restart the thing, the package is not there. The UK demo new is not there. So what you need to do, you need to edit the deploy.js and add the package in here. Oh no, here we go. Okay, save. Good. And then of course you want to do a grunt devil. And then Ember serve. And here we are. And here's our new package. So this is a little bit annoying, but once you know it, it's okay. There are other tasks which need to be there, especially when you add other external libraries. You need to do that in Grunt and in this devil.js. I'm not really sure how to do that. I tried. I wasted 2 hours today to find out, and I couldn't. But it is doable. It's very nice. And once you have a foreign package loaded, like D3 or something, then you can just use all the D3 objects, just like Smalltalk objects. And it's dynamic. It's directly there. There's no need for any any translation package or stuff like that. It's just available. Okay, so that's Ember. Are there any questions? Do we have, where do I see the, oh, there's a chat. Yeah, I see the chat. Okay.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Ah, this context. Okay, this context. Oh, I am not sure.
Christian, I think Vanessa has got a question.
Well, we can take Torsten's question first.
I see the chat now. So yeah, I see. Okay, Bitcoin. Yeah, you need big numbers for that. Yes. But then you have to go through all the hassle of defining the numbers or declaring the numbers as big num or do a big num instance of it, and it will just not work with all the arithmetic, and so it's a bit of a hassle, I think. But it works, no problem. Okay, what else? This context, yeah, that's an expert question. I have no idea. So how can we try that? Augment page, here we are. So this context, expect something like that. Save, okay, and then we won't commit that. And reload. Inspect nil. So this context doesn't. Nope, I think there's no this context. But
I think if you try it in a workspace, it will do something.
Okay, we'll try. We'll just remove this buggy thing. In the workspace, this context.
Yeah, you just do print it on this context.
I don't see
Does
it.
something.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
So I don't think. Well, I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a method. We can inspect it. Let's see what's in there. Well, it looks like this context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess there's this context. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, my question would have been, do you know if any work is planned on the language side, like more Smalltalky features or speed or something like that?
What kind of Smalltalky features you mean?
Like you talked about the big nums, like putting real integers in there, for example.
I have no idea, but Herbie was commenting on some list that when big num will be in the standard, he will do something about it. And he said something of restructuring the number hierarchy or something.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know how you would support that in Ember, because in Squeak.js it's really a new kind of object, incompatible with the regular numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And the speed question would be like if you compare this to Squeak.js, the sends are somewhat comparable because Squeak.js doesn't optimize those. I mean, Squeak.js is still twice as fast, but not 2 orders of magnitude like for the bytecodes.
You mean compared to Ember?
Ember versus Squeak.js, yes.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
So if you just do the tiny benchmarks here,
yeah,
in this workspace. So no, I'm not dissing on Ember in any case. I'm just curious if there is development planned in that area.
No idea. So I use it for UI stuff, and it's basically fast enough for me. And I mean, it gets faster with all the VM improvements of Node. I guess I don't know. It's not a problem yet. It might be a problem, yes. And I don't know what could you do, because I mean Ember is compiled to JavaScript, and this is just executed. I guess. So how could you improve that?
Well, Squeak.js is not compiled and it's faster, so there must be something.
Surprising.
Well,
yeah.
So, but Squid.js is evaluating the bytecodes directly, or right?
So Squeak.js takes the bytecodes, and yes, it creates a JavaScript method for every bytecode, but then the dispatch of those messages is not optimized at all. So it creates a full context for every send. I think just like Ember.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why the send speed is comparable.
Yeah, doesn't that mean that then it only has a few hundred functions that need to be optimized by the JavaScript virtual machine, versus what you get in Ember is a lot more freeform. There's a lot more variety, so less opportunity for the underlying JavaScript virtual machine to do its magic, basically.
Maybe I don't know. I have not really done any performance.
I can run this. Let's see what's happening.
There's a question from Dusty, which is interesting, and so there are some difficulties or inconveniences about, for example, adding a new package, and it is something that could be fixed by the Ember developers within Ember.
Yes, of course.
Or is there a technical reason?
No, I don't think so. No, it's just, I mean, Ember was basically developed by one person, by Nicolas Peton, and enhanced by Herbie. And this is all free work, so there's no team, no funding, no nothing. I think it's just a matter of refinement. I mean, it can be refined a lot. So I have a lot of issues with the UI, and if I use it, and when I use it in my professional project, I probably will improve a lot there. The JavaScript stuff, I think you need some of the files, but for example, the grunt file, which is kind of a weird thing. Let's have a look. Oh, what did I do here? Oh, I think I have to reload this whole thing. So the grunt file. Let's see, the grunt file is, oh, here we go, the grunt file. That is basically very simple syntax, and it reminds, so it's basically JavaScript, and the configuration of the, well, the real thing is just a JSON. So I guess it's no problem to read in this stuff and modify it and write it back. So it's just a matter of one should do that. But I guess the original developers were very comfortable in JavaScript, so that was not a big issue. For me, it is a big issue, and I would love to rewrite all this and do it all from Smalltalk, definitely. Yeah, but I don't think there are any technical reasons not to do that. Okay, so let's do the benchmark again. Let's try. Oh, it will be on the console. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we have some numbers. Okay, we have 25 million bytecodes per second, and we have 3.1 million cents per second. So Vanessa, what do you think about that?
Oops, there I am. Yeah, we would have to try on your machine. So if you go to squeak.js.org and just run the benchmark.
Oops. somewhere.
Squeak.js.org.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
just
right.
click the mini image on top. And
Okay.
click the tiny benchmarks line and Control P.
Oh,
Okay, maybe
okay.
Command P, Alt P, whatever something.
Oh,
No.
how to get?
Okay, right click and sudo printed. Escape.
How to get rid of this one?
Return? No?
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So right click.
Printed. Old school.
Print.
Okay.
Okay. We have 103 million bytecodes per second and about 1 million cents per second.
Do it again.
So this is 25 million. So the bytecodes is far less, a quarter. And the cents is 3 times as fast.
Yeah. Can you do it again to warm up the JIT?
You're cheating.
What? No, you've been using the other for a while, but
Okay.
okay. Maybe you have to select the tiny benchmarks. Yeah, there we go.
Warm up the JIT. Come on. No, it's the same. Come on. It's nothing changed. So
Yeah, okay.
106 million.
Cool.
Yeah, interesting. So a quarter as fast with the bytecodes and 3 times as fast with the cents. How come? That's weird.
Well, it's slower because the cents are not optimized at all yet in Squeak.js.
But bytecodes, what do they mean with bytecodes in Ember?
I think it's just a regular tiny
no
benchmark.
here, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Ember, I think.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay, at least we got a real answer. That's good. Okay, what else is there? Questions? Maintenance of Ember and Silk. Yes. So the maintainer is the maintainer is Herbie, and I was chatting with him and he was helping me a lot. So, and he is also very fast in changing things. So I think he's not using it very much himself, but if somebody is bugging him for something, he's really quick to do something about it, especially when it's not so difficult, I guess. So I'm really happy with the maintenance, but of course, I don't know, Herbie might, I don't know, get COVID, get a job or whatever, and then he has no time. So, and I think there's nobody else. So the community is extremely slow, extremely small. Maybe I'm the only one in the community with Herbie. I don't know. So yeah, it's a pity. It's a really nice way to interact with the web. And I would love to have it to get more attention on it and people doing stuff with it, and then it will grow better. But it is already good enough for things. I think I'm ready to do it in my real project. So I think it's really good. So there was a question of Kai and somebody there. Did you try web components? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I haven't tried that. And I would love to, if I could have more discipline to prepare the talk properly, because Herbie just added the new feature to subclass components, subclass React components, subclass whatever. And I was actually hoping to try Croquet, which is now JavaScript, but you have to subclass something to make it run. And this should be easy in Ember. So you would have, in the end, then Smalltalk driving Croquet. Lovely. Sorry, Vanessa, but...
No, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. So, but I haven't tried it. It's also a little bit, yeah, I haven't tried it, so I cannot say much about it. But it's not a proper Smalltalk class, but you kind of annotate a Smalltalk class or an Ember class with something so that it acts as a subclass of a component. So you can access everything in the component and you can change and override behavior. So I think that should work. Yes. And if not, I will bug Herbie to make it work. But I think it will just work like that. And yes, I haven't tried React. I just do basic JavaScript, more or less. And yeah, it should work, I think. So talk about a throwback. Looks like Digitalk. Yeah, it's an old Smalltalk. Come on. Okay, any more questions?
Yep. I'm always torn between do it in JavaScript, just read the documentation, and there you go. So what more than just, well, cool, this is in Smalltalk, would be the advantage you'd see in using Silk and Ember over just using JavaScript?
Oh, yes. Very good question. So my history in web development is that I used Seaside like 12 years ago for a little app. It was actually for the European Soccer Championship 2008. I made a little tip game for our neighbors and had a look at it. Okay, I was not really happy with that. And then I tried Apex. So Apex in VisualWorks is just basically a kind of a package manager for JavaScript. So I use JavaScript, so pure JavaScript for my real project, which is Unsere Gelder. And so you see here, for example, let's say Köthen is, Glückstadt is the best actually. So this is pure JavaScript with D3, and that's it. So it kind of works, and it's nice. It's not trivial. So I did some work on it. It's nice. So it has not all bells and whistles, but it has enough to be interesting. But it's a lot of work and it's complicated. And what I really hate is that you don't have references. For example, finding a method in JavaScript means grep, basically. Why? So in Smalltalk, you have references and find all the methods, where it's called, where it's implemented, and everything. This is extremely difficult in just text-based IDEs, I think. I really don't like that. And Smalltalk is so simple, the language is so simple that you can rarely make mistakes. Of course, you can make mistakes, and I often do mistakes, but in JavaScript, the frequency of tiny little stupid mistakes is so much higher that it's not, I'm not fast in JavaScript, although I understand it basically, but in Smalltalk, so from the feeling, I'm at least 5 times as fast to write code, the same code. It's just very simple, very easy. And of course you have the browser. What a better idea to organize megabytes of code in a nice way to find everything at a fingertip. I don't think there's anything better than this. So if JavaScript would have all the tools, oh fine, yeah, I could do that. And all the tool stacks which are modern right now, they try to do that. But some things they do nicely, like completion and syntax highlighting, but others like finding references, and so it's just a nightmare. So I'm really happy with Smalltalk because, well, but I did JavaScript, so you cannot say I'm talking about things I didn't do. So
yeah, Yeah, but my reasoning behind the question is that once you need to learn a library like D3 or whatever, you read the documentation about JavaScript code and you retranslate it to your Smalltalk brain, write Smalltalk code and try to find out why it doesn't work.
Yes.
So especially if you can name your second parameter than whatever you want. I mean, isn't that making things a little bit more complicated?
No, I think not. I think the translation from JavaScript to Smalltalk is really trivial. It's not really a big problem. And you're right, you end up reading the documentation of all the JavaScript stuff, or my pet peeve is CSS. I mean, CSS is so complicated, but,
yes, it is.
but the language doesn't stand in the way. So I will, when I program in Ember, I have a lot of problems with HTML, CSS, and maybe libraries, but not with Smalltalk, not with the language. In JavaScript, the next big issue is JavaScript. So this JavaScript issue is just going away. And the translation from the API of a library to Smalltalk is trivial, really. It's not a big thing, in my opinion. But so I don't know how your JavaScript is, Joachim.
I'm really bad at it. I find out every day that I'm really bad at it. Well, I'm using it a lot with Seaside. It's not actually easy to transport callbacks down and getting things done quite nicely and stuff. It can be quite mind blowing to really understand what's going on.
Yes.
But I think adding another layer sounds like making things even more complicated.
No, I will show you Silk in a moment. This makes everything so
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm too early. Sorry for that.
Okay, but there was another question here. Where would a developer use Ember with Silk versus the Squeak in the browser? So yeah, actually comparable to Ember is Squeak.js and maybe Caffeine. But sorry, Vanessa, but I don't really see the point. It's of course great when you have your Squeak images to just run it in the browser. But there's so much in Squeak which you don't need in the browser. You don't need BitBlip. You don't need font rendering. It's all there in SVG and improved daily. And you have the what is it? The graphic processor doing all kinds of stuff with you not having to deal with that at all. So Squeak is great for desktop. Well, and you have a virtual machine, so you can treat the web as desktop. But most of the stuff which are in Squeak, I don't need. I don't need file access, for example. I don't need all kinds of stuff. So Vanessa, I don't want to
just a quick remark to that. Have you been here for Eric's talk on what was his code paradise?
Yes, of course, yes. And
so that's
really
Squeak.js,
nice.
but not using any of Squeak. So he was using a minimal image, just the runtime, and HTML. I don't know, 100K, 200K, something like that, like tiny.
And the virtual machine?
And the virtual machine, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how big that is? That's maybe 500K or so.
Okay, so that's not big. So it should load quickly. Yeah.
That's very quick. I mean, you saw how quick Squeak.js loaded when you clicked on it. So that's not a big deal. No, I mean, Squeak.js is really just a runtime, and you can run it with any image. I'm pretty sure Eric is using a Pharaoh image, like a stripped down something.
Bootstrap, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So really tiny. Yeah.
So I think there's a good reason to do that, especially when you have images in these languages, which you want to reuse on the web. But for me, the web is something new. So for example, I opened Squeak.js on a phone. It works, but you cannot work with that. I mean, the whole interaction paradigm doesn't fit, right? So I think, for example, you should
Agreed.
one should design tools completely new for the mobile. For example, how should a debugger or a web browser look on the mobile? It should not look like this, of course. It should be completely different. So I don't know. It's a different approach. I'm happy with this minimal approach to just use the thin Smalltalk language layer on top of JavaScript. Yeah, I don't know. And of course, I like all the native things you get. So, Vanessa, what is it? Can you access? What would I want to say?
We have a JavaScript bridge, so you can
I saw that.
call anything in JavaScript. Yes.
Yeah.
But I agree that they are very different approaches, and both have their use cases. So yeah.
Yes, I think so.
No argument there.
And what I will show you now, Silk is a very simple little framework which can be easily implemented in Squeak.js, for example. And what I will show you now, Silk is a very simple little framework which can be easily implemented in Squeak.js, for example, or in Caffeine. So that I think that I see no reason to not be able to that. It will be, for you, it will be just a matter of 2 hours or so to do it. So what I'm thrilled, so I'm not a language developer, I'm an application programmer. I love to have a simple way to code my complex domain models. And Silk is the way to do. I fall completely in love with that, and I will show you why, I hope. Okay, are you ready for Silk?
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Okay, so here we go. This is the UK demo. We can we do something here? No, we just kill that. And I prepared a different one. How was it? UK. UK Amber Talk. No. No. Amber Talk. So, just a little tiny mini project, and I have a little bit of, so there's nothing in there, there's just a thing, and I have a little bit of snippets to show you what's going on, or what we can do with Silk. So first, there's some documentation about Silk. So Silk is basically a little tiny package here, just a class and a trait. And it has not many methods. And it's a subclass of DOMite, which is here. And this is a little bit, it's also very tiny, but this is basically the bridge to the DOM. So think of a DOMite or a Silk as a facade of a DOM element. So easy. Here, there's some nice documentation. So this shows you everything you can use with that. And since Silk is a subclass of DOMite, you can use all these methods and of course the Silk method. And Silk has also a nice demo in the image, a nice documentation. So most of what I learned is from there. But there's also a really nice page, an article from Silk called Silk is just too flexible. And this is just wonderful. So when I read that, my desire to use it was so bad. And then the documentation, but everything you need to know is in here already. So, and I will just show you more or less that. So now let's see how we get the DOM nodes. So when you do Silk new, you get Silk the class Silk new. You get the body. Let's inspect it. And the element is actually an HTML body element, right? So, okay, I'll put this in here. So with the body, you can, of course, have all the JavaScript you need on the body. You can get a text, which is not there. You can inner text. Here's the inner text. Oh, that's not true. The body, it has a H1 element, actually. Where's that? Oh, inner text gives you just any text somewhere. Should be something like children. Oh, also, it's not sorted. I mean, this is from JavaScript, not sorted, but it is annoying. Come on, children. Somewhere down there, it must be. Children. Okay, so we have 3 children. We have a div element, we have a script element, and we have the heading element. That's actually what this is. Have a look, inspector, body with a div element, and a script, and the H1 where this Ember Silk is in there, right? So just to show you what it is. So the Silk new gives you the body. This is a bit strange, but that's how it is. So a silk is not only the DOM element, it also is basically a stream on the children of the DOM element. So you can add things at the end of the stream. So let's have a text and do it. Oh, there's a text right there. Dynamic, wonderful, just like that. Is there a question? Ah, yeah, thanks for helping. So, so there's a silk. What do I want to show? Talk. So we want to add some silks. Let's add a div with an ID. So you have the body, you add it to the end, and then you have a silk div. So this div is not in the image. It's just by the does not understand mechanism, it will be translated to a tag. That means you don't have a whole representation of all the elements there are, especially not the new elements you can invent yourself with a new HTML5. So you just write it in uppercase and it will translate to a tag and use that. Also with a colon at the end, when you give it an argument, you can add several objects. Here, for example, if you add an association, it will add an attribute ID with a value of top. Okay, so we just do that. Do it. So it will be here. You don't see it yet. We can also add a list of elements. Right, the same stuff, just a dynamic list with another div with an ID mid and a div with the ID bottom. Okay, do it. Tuck this in there. So now you can get any element by just using the CSS tags. So this will be the ID top, this element, and as silk, and then you add to that this string. So let's do it. Here we go. There we go. So we can do it several times. Okay, in the mid we add others, and in the bottom we add even more. We can also add a div. So we have this silk, this div we created up here, and we just send it a div. So that is an instance, not a class like here. It's an instance, and we just call div, and it will create a new div. Do it. So now in this top thing, there will be new divs. Okay. So, and we can just remove the whole thing from the top. The top is empty now again. Okay. So then we could, for example, put a list, so an ordered list into the top div, and we put all the object subclasses in there as list items. Okay, do it. Check. Here we have all the classes. Wonderful. And we just reset that again. And we can, of course, sort them also. So this is just Smalltalk, right? And you collect, and then you just make a standalone list item. It's standalone. It's not connected to the DOM, but this standalone list item you can just add to another silk, which is connected to the DOM through this. Okay, let's do that. Now we have it sorted and as an unordered list. Okay, so let's reset that again. Let's put some of those in there, maybe some of those. Okay, so what else? We can look at attributes. So for example, we can add, so here again, we add an association. That means the style attribute will be set to font weight is bold. So the top div gets the style. Poof, now we have bold. See that? The bottom one we will do red. The middle one we do big. Okay. So then the bottom as silk. We can also set it not as an association, but just use this attribute add thing, same thing. So the bottom will be blue now. And at the top, we will give it a border, a thin, solid green border. Boof. So this is what I like. Being directly on the DOM and change things dynamically. You don't have to do anything, no reload, no nothing. You just change the DOM and you're done with it. It's wonderful. So where do we have Torsten? There's a class IDE inspector. So I guess it can be fixed, but refreshing reloads the initial IDE. Torsten, what do you mean with what can be fixed? Is there an IDE inspector in here? Okay, never saw that one. Okay, how to use that? Oh, cool. Okay, let's try. Oh, doesn't do anything. What's wrong? The inspector. What's wrong here? Then ask if the list could be sorted. DOM's acting as canvas, yeah. The list can be sorted. Yeah, I tried to do that. I'm not sure if that works. So the IDE inspector, I have to find out what's wrong with that. Oh, okay. Okay, this is just the same inspector as we have here. So you can just say this inspect. Oh, why do we have this now? Oh. Ah, okay, switch the browser somehow. Okay, too bad. No, it doesn't. So okay, yeah, but this is okay. I have to see if this is good.
It was just that Dan was asking if the list could be sorted when you searched for the children, and the inspector, I guess, is implemented in Ember. So you could possibly change the IDE itself while it's running.
Yes, of course. Yes, it's all in Smalltalk. So that's a nice thing. You don't have to do JavaScript at all. It's all implemented in Smalltalk. So how do DOM element queries work in Silk? How does Ember deal with DOM events? Yeah. We're getting there. So I just have to find this. I think I have to restart this. Sorry. So. So let's add the Silks again. So here we go. So then we can do those, and we set some attributes again. Do it. So we're back in game. We had this sorted, yeah. Let's look at that. So we put this class names in here, right? Good. So we have the classes. So now we can, so we have an OL. So we can actually say OL as Silk and inspect it. Here we have a nice inspector. The element is a HTML OL list element. So when we go in there, you have, I don't know, I guess you have children. The children. So now you have the HTML elements. So I'm not sure how to sort them. But in my application, the COVID chart thing, I did it. So I was surprised that the DOM elements are not interconnected that strongly. So they don't know the neighbors, the predecessor, the after on all this, but they're really context free and you can do a lot of things with them. So I guess you can sort them very nicely. So, but I didn't try that out. It's just that I think it's not impossible. And well, if you can sort it in JavaScript, you can sort it in Ember. So, and I think you could do that. I did it. Okay, somebody asked about a real world application. Yes, there's this COVID charts that is closed in the moment. I will just open it again. So and here it should be, I just reload. That will take a while. So the data is big, very big. So, but this is all Ember. This is Ember and Silk. So just bear with me. Here we go. And we open the Helios IDE. Yep. So, okay. Here I have a list. Actually, it's hierarchical tree view. I just built myself, and you can sort it. So let's say British Columbia. I am personally attached to that. So this has to warm up again. So now there are all the data, fine. And then you can sort it, for example, for the new cases. It will take a while because it has to calculate the numbers for all the data in there. But, oh, it's already finished. Okay. So you can sort it like new death. And you will see this things are all sorted in the right way. I hope you believe that. But I do it not directly on the DOM. I remove the list and reinsert it, but not quite. For example, if I have this this element, it will be also a list element, and I just remove the children and reinsert them sorted again. So it's not a big thing. So it's slow because I don't think the JavaScript is so slow, but they're just huge amounts of data. Okay, so sorting is easy. It's well, it's Smalltalk. It's nothing behind it. So now let's see more of the DOM. Let's go away with that. Let's have this. And so we want to using, no, where is it? I had such a nice thing to do here. So how to get, so you see here's you can just use not any, the basic selectors of CSS to get the elements. So the IDs, or when you have a dot in there, you get the classes, or you just get the elements. For example, the OL as silk, right? You just, the tag as silk will give you the first OL it finds. So you can also say, how was that? Silk at all. So you can get all the diffs in a list and inspect it. Oh, what is wrong here? Oh, these guys are weird. Inspect it, and then we have all the diffs we defined here. So you can get to all of that just like you would in JavaScript or with jQuery or something. So now let's have some events. Okay, let's clear up that a little bit. Reset content. Check. So a little bit more space. So we can, for example, add an input. So we will have a variable and this will be input. Okay, we will give it an ID. No, we don't need to give it an ID. So fine. I don't know if it remembers these things. Let's see. So now we want to add it actually to the page. So we do silk new. So what I especially like is that you have these things detached from the DOM, just as normal objects. That means you can program Silk much more in a functional way. You just construct your elements, and when you're ready and when they're all fine and shiny, then you just add it to the DOM, and that's it. So let's do that. No, it's what is wrong here? Oh, yeah. This way. now we have an input element. Okay, fine. So fascinating is, you all learned probably you cannot have an input element without a form object around it, a form container. No, it's not true. So we can just have the input and get the real DOM element actually, and you ask it for the value. Oh, we just put something in here. Something real. So we get the DOM element, and then you ask for the value. Input is not defined. Okay, it just doesn't like it. So we just get the element. Okay, so it will find the first input element, and then it gets the DOM element, and then we ask it for the value. So my input. Okay, fine. But you can also set it, of course. Do it, and there it is, my new input. Lovely. So now you can also, of course, add an event handler on. I just looked that up. It's change, I think, bind, and just a block. So you can have optionally the event in here, which is handy sometimes. But we just want to do, what do we want to do? We want the input element, we want to get the value, and we add it to the silk. Okay, and then we, of course, set the value to nothing. Is it good enough for event handler?
Yeah, looks cool.
Okay, do it. So now let's see. Of course, bad memory maybe. Input field on change. Nah, that should work. Why shouldn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Can anybody see the error? So that should be a string, and the silk new, is it somewhere here? No, it's not. And the event handler should be in there too, I think.
Is it probably firing so fast that we don't see anything? Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't clear the contents of the input field. Sorry, no.
Right. There's an event handler. Okay. Also interesting is that you cannot trigger that here from the normal dev tools. I find it weird, but of course you can trigger that from Smalltalk very easily. Just say fire. Do it. Ah, now it does it. Okay, strange. Now it looks like that. Fine. Okay. Pretty nice, oder? So you just add it on the fly and it just works. I read in the docs that sometimes this change event doesn't get fired. So maybe, I don't know, you have to warm it up or something.
Maybe you should try key down or key up.
Yeah, maybe something like that. So, but now you see it's working, right? So it's just nice. Oh, key down, key up, you think? No, that will not fire anything. So return maybe.
No, I meant the event name key down. I meant the event name key down, so that it can every key press.
Yeah. Okay, you can do that.
Change
Yeah,
the
of course.
modifier only when you blur. So
There can be a lot of interesting events on all these DOM elements, and you have access to them just like that. It's so wonderful. It's a no-brainer, and it's a big brainer in JavaScript, I find, especially to add all this super function handlers and all this stuff. This is so easy and lovely in Smalltalk. So there's one interesting oddity in Smalltalk stemming from JavaScript, like change is the same as the string change. Isn't that weird? So you can actually just change that. It will just work just like that. Do it. Oh. Did you see it? Some spaces in here. Maybe some real input. XXXX is a good input. So do it. And there it is. So symbol and string is the same. It's kind of weird. Also interesting is that there's no class ordered collection. So there's a class array, but if you say ordered collection, you will get that class. It's true. And the good thing is this array can add things. So it actually behaves like an ordered collection, but it's called array. And you don't have an array like in Smalltalk. So immutable, or not immutable. So definitely no literal arrays, but not an array where you get an error when you add things. So, okay. Oh, the first people are leaving. I'm so sorry. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show. And actually, so let's have a look. What else is there? So you change attributes. You add events handlers. Very nice. So you saw that also on the buttons in the demo where you add a click handler. It's just easy. So input fields we had. So now SVG. So that's the last topic. Herbie helped me with that. So SVG. So just a rhetorical question. What's the difference between SVG and HTML? There's not much different. It's just an XML, but with a different namespace. So HTML has a namespace, HTML, and in this namespace, all these objects like div and headings and body and head, all these are known to this namespace. SVG is just another namespace where you have things like G and rect and line and stuff like that. But it's basically completely the same stuff. So what you do, so here's the HTML namespace, I think, where it is, I don't know. But when you create a new element, you give it a namespace. So if you create an HTML element, you will give the HTML namespace. If you create an SVG element, you create an SVG element. So therefore, I define the class SVG, and it just has a namespace, the SVG namespace, and I just had to override this method, and now you can do things like the following. Where we are, here we are. So you can, for example, silk new, and we add to the end an SVG element, and this needs some attributes. A view box. So Let's just take that here. Right, there's too much. So we just add this. Oh, there's an SVG. Oh, no, of course. Yeah, Smalltalk. We can also make stupid mistakes. So now we have an SVG, I think, somewhere. There must be the SVG. No, where is it? I don't know. So, but then we add a rectangle. Do it. Is it there? No, it's not there. Ah, why is it not there? Ah. So I was working till 1 minute before the talk on this one to make that work. It's I use it all the time in my COVID thing. But what you see is you can just use the rect and the polyline and whatever you want with SVG, just like the Silk stuff. You can create a standalone SVG element and just add it when you are ready or when you want it. So, yeah, I would love to show it. Oh, this is such a stupid thing. Oh, maybe I fucked it up before. I'll reload. So we just do that, and we do that, and here it is. You have a nice rectangle, an SVG, just like that. Simple, simple, simple. It cannot be simpler. So you can add a polyline, but I forgot attribute here, I think. You can have a line width of, say, 2 pixel. Let's see if that works. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Where's the error? Oh no, I see, it's not a polyline, it's a line actually. Do it, here we have the line, yeah, we go. So, I use it a lot in my COVID thing, so I just can show you how that looks like. Where is it? This is that one. So let's just see what senders there are of SVG. So for example, here I just add a silk span and I add an SVG onto it. And so also, yeah, the very nice thing is of this pattern, when you send a new thing to an SVG, it will automatically be an SVG. If you send something to a HTML or DOM element, it will be an HTML element. So you don't have to worry about the namespace. If you have some Silk thing there, SVG, Silk, and you add something like an no, you can say just maybe, I don't know. Oh God, this is going to be really. So let's have a little bit different color and see if something's happening. Check now. Did you see a different color? So it just added this. So I just have an element which happens to be an SVG element. And if you send this some kind of tag, it will interpret this as an SVG tag. So if that would be a div or something, then rect will not be recognized. So let's see, let's have the first div in that thing and do it. Oh, it just failed silently. Fine. Yeah, so it makes it really, really handy to use that in the program. So here we have an SVG with a you can have defs, for example, also interesting. So SVG is also very, very powerful, as you can see in the charts here. This is all SVG. I have this grid here. This is kind of weird. And you have handlers for the mouse move, and you have little everything. Here's little SVGs, these blobs. These flags are SVG. Here is a flag. So here in this buttons, I use an SVG for these rectangles, and it's just lovely, easy to use. Okay. Yeah, SVG is also not easy, of course, but you have to care about SVG, not about Smalltalk. So Silk makes it all just that simple. Okay, so that's about it, what I want to show. If there are more questions, Bruce, played with 3D. No, I haven't. But 3JS, I heard about it, and I think it should not be any problem to add this and use it, just like you would in JavaScript. I mean, it's JavaScript, and Ember is JavaScript, just with a mantle of, with a code of Smalltalk. Okay. So, any more questions?
Christian, your handler for, you know, when you mouse over and you show some of the values in your graph, is that code that you can easily show us just to get a feel for sort of what one of those handlers looks like? Presumably there's like a, you know, an on something over callback, and then what
you mean this one, this little tooltip?
Yeah, what is that sort of?
I think it would be, so let's see, it's in the view package, definitely. Yeah, the scale,
I suppose this is where some better search tools in Ember would be helpful, but
yeah, okay. You mean I could find it by legend, legend 4? Yeah, that looks like it.
Click and on Halo and on Inspector.
Yeah, so find the reference of this one. Bar chart. Self SVG. Let's see the class of that one. How to get the class.
So I didn't mean to ask you a difficult one. I was just trying to get a feel for the kind of things that how you code in it.
Right. That's a tooltip, I think.
I see. So I get the references to the tooltip would probably show you the. Presumably that's in a block. Is it something calls that? The references to that tooltip class.
The tooltip class, this one, yeah. Mouse over. There we go.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that was pretty.
Okay, so I get a tooltip. So with the ID tooltip, that's just one in the whole page, which like a tooltip should be, because otherwise you would have hanging more than one. I reset the content of that, and then I add an array of some styles, a bar, a label, and a value. So these are the lines. So you have the first square or the first rectangle is the legend bar, and then you have the label, and then you have the value, right? And
makes sense.
Okay, there's some CSS magic.
And then
the colors come from.
You've got some
stuff. But I think it's pretty easy to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has some SVG in it. Where's the SVG? I think it's.
And your data point object is what? Like it's an object that's just got some instance variables in it that you kind of compute when you're loading the data, I guess.
So yeah, I made a pretty clean distinction between the model. So there's a data point in several flavors depending on the data source, because not all data sources have the same attributes. I have the territories and some announcements. Yeah,
that's cool.
I have a little averager, which gives me these lines here. It's all model, and all the view is in here. So I actually have some components, which is also, I'm not getting into that, but it's a very, very simple pattern for having a model view something. So just a observed model. And so these things just render themselves into something. So when you have ESUG, and then this whole graphics will render itself.
Right.
Okay, it's maybe a bit too complex.
Yeah, but that gives us a good flavor.
Yeah, I really like the style in which how you can program this. It makes it really, it feels like Smalltalk. So the whole, my bad taste of JavaScript, of the whole syntax mambo jumbo is gone. I just care about HTML and CSS mostly, and maybe libraries. But that's it. The Smalltalk itself is clean. You can structure it and modularize it just as you want, as you used to be in Smalltalk. And it's readable. You can find the references. It's just a beauty, I think.
Presumably for the CSS, but you could port the, what's the, the Buenos Aires guys have got, I'm trying to remember the name of the library for, generating CSS. Renoir, I think it's called Renoir or something. It's kind of, a little DSL for generating CSS programmatically. That might make it a little bit less distasteful, maybe.
Yeah, that would probably help. So I definitely fight with CSS, and I've not a good solution for that. Let's see. So it's in here. So I've also 5 CSS, which does all the stuff. But CSS is it's a bugger. It's a bugger for everybody. So I think there's no solution in any language or techno stack yet. For example, the prototype problem is you can write CSS very nicely when you develop a page. Lovely. It's easy. You write it. You have the right attributes. But as soon as you refactor, how do you find out which classes and IDs you don't need anymore? It's so difficult. And in the end, you do a grep. So textual search, and you have to search for everything because the search doesn't give you a list of things missing. Of course, you can just search one by one. Oh, is that used? No. Okay, then maybe it can go. Okay, is that used? Oh, maybe it can go. This is so much work. What I would love to have is that to have CSS as referenceable objects like symbols or so in the code, and just find where the references to some class or ID is. Of course,
that's what Renoir does. That's what they've done. They've kind of made them all into message sends. So I think it would do that for you. Actually, I haven't played with it a lot, but yeah, like you, I hate CSS and. Yeah,
it's a bugger. Okay, I have to look at it.
Obviously you'd have to, I guess, port it over, but I don't think it's anything particularly
but it's
complicated.
just Faro.js, right? So it cannot be used really for Ember. I have to look at it because I mean the problem with the whole thing is that the selectors in CSS are not trivial. So if you just would find the IDs and the classes, that would be easy. But to find the element which has a class of that and includes a element with such an ID and is the third of the children which has an attribute of whatever, this is just horribly difficult. I have no idea how to really tackle this problem. Just finding classes and IDs would be okay, I think.
So surely when it's live in the DOM, the relationships are there. It is hooked together. Is there any way of navigating the DOM rather than trying to look at the source code of the CSS?
Exactly. But somebody has to do that. I mean, it's all there. It's all there. It should be doable. Although I'm not sure. I think the DOM doesn't reflect the complex selectors. I think it will resolve it and then attach the right things to the right elements. But you don't have the selector source, basically.
Because clearly the browser has the state somehow in its head. And I would have thought that that state is the DOM.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, I will look at Renua. Maybe they have a good idea to solve this problem, but I haven't seen anything usable really. But I don't have an overview of all these technologies, so maybe somebody came up with something smart. But yeah. But yeah, so CSS is a big problem, I think. It's I try to keep it as minimal as possible, but this is not so trivial. And if you have something bloated like Bootstrap or so, it is difficult, I find. But yeah, that's web stuff, right? So what can you do? At least the language and the HTML stuff is solved by Silk, in my view.
It's a very nice window into the environment, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can reach in there and manipulate it in in a very nice way. Yeah, nice.
In a very, very elegant way, yes. And it's not difficult to implement. So that's why I think Squeak.js would be great to have instead of the bridge. I looked at it. It's pretty, yeah. It's pretty verbose, so you have to deal with all the basic things like jQuery stuff. But why not do it Silk way? So it would feel immediately much nicer, I think.
It is worth saying
the vaccine rates to your charts here.
Yes, no, I don't have them yet. No, and I haven't done much for the last. Oh, here that was my last Amber stuff. So half a year ago. Yeah, but I still look at it every day, and it's interesting. It's
it works on a phone and a tablet as well, because I know I sometimes pull it up just to have a look as well. So, and it's fast. It's fast on a phone.
Oh, on the phone, really? On my phone, it's pretty unusable, kind of. But yeah, I mean, it's a current data. There's a server which pulls the data all the time and converts them to JSON, which I read here from the client. And yeah, the numbers are current. The most recent numbers from the Johns Hopkins University. And yeah, the numbers are still bad. It's the deaths. UK. It's so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took about 3 seconds to load on my phone. Mine's like an old iPhone 10, so it's not, 3-year-old phone, and it loads pretty darn quick, actually.
Okay, so this is especially slow because it's now in the browser, right? It's here local and with the development tools and all this stuff. So the real stuff is actually a lot faster. So here we go. Oh, and did you see that? It will look for the localized language, localized country names. So I see who is looking in there, and I'm so sorry that most of the people have English as their browser language, but some people have it in Spanish, some in German, and I even saw some in Japanese or other languages. And you will see the languages in the countries in your language. I think this is really nice. So thanks to Wikidata.
Yeah, it's a nice example of what can be done.
Yeah, so that was my use case, my trial, and I found Amber and Silk is definitely ready for production. So I will use it in this project. And I remember this tree view. What effort that was. And I have basically the same thing here, which is much nicer, smaller, and much easier to understand and change. So many of the elements here I will move over to this project, and have it much easier, I think, because this is difficult to change, really. In JavaScript, it is very hard to change. Yeah, that will be much better in Ember.
The upgrades to Ember, is that fairly straightforward? I remember years ago, it always, I never really understood all that grunt stuff and I gave up years ago.
That's what I mean. That should be also from the Helios. That should be done from here. It would be so much easier to get away from all this. It's good to have it in the background. It does its things in a nice way, but I, as an application programmer, I don't want to deal with that. It's not my topic. Yeah, so I had to learn a lot about this, and now I kind of understand it, but it's a pain. Yes, I agree. Okay, so are there more questions? I see people are leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one from Eric, who's actually leaving as well, but he mentioned if there is an home grammar for CSS, you could try and use that, which might be an interesting.
Yeah, I will have a look.
Suggestion.
Home grammar for CSS.
Other than that, just noticing that Christian, you've been presenting us these things for almost 2 hours, so
yeah, it's too
to get
long,
a little
right?
bit late.
I'm sorry, it's too long for the.
No, I'll say for you because here it's 9 o'clock, but for you it's already 10 o'clock. It's
yeah, I can do that. I mean, it's COVID times. There are no meetings, no schedules, no nothing, no travels, no big deal. I can sleep in tomorrow and everything is fine. No, I hope I could convey some of my enthusiasm about Silk. It's not. It makes everything so much nicer, I think. It's just so much simpler. So this is what I always look for simple things. So not having all this complex stuff to do simple things. Have simple things and do complex stuff with that. That's the way to go. Okay, yeah. So more questions maybe, or other topics.
I would have 2 more questions. One is, I've seen that you said there are traits supported as mixins, like in Faro. But I've seen that the trait class is inheriting from object. So normally the trait class is inheriting from class. So I wonder if they support inheritance or other things for the traits. Did you ever play with that?
No, I never played with at all. Since I come from VisualWorks, there are no traits, I think, yet. But well, okay, long answer. When I was studying in the 80s, I had flavors. That's a Lisp, one of the first object-oriented systems in Lisp. And there was a big discussion about mixins. And there they used mixins for UI stuff, like you had a scroll mixin or you had a resize mixin, all this stuff. I never got warm with that. It's I know it has some virtues, but mixins cannot have state. I mean, I know you are working on stateful traits, which is just a box of the Pandora. I don't think, I mean, 40 years they are working on that, and I think nobody has done it right. You have so many problems when you inherit things with mixins, especially when they have state. And so I had never the desire in my programs to use that or to refactor things across class hierarchies. So I haven't used it. Maybe I will use it in Ember. I understand what it is. I can understand why it's good for, but in Ember, I think traits, the problem with traits is basically a UI problem, a tooling problem. So if I cannot handle traits in the browser properly, have references to find all the things necessary, then it makes life more complex as it should be. But I think I would look at traits. So I cannot tell you anything more about traits. I just have to look where I find them. Where were there? There's a trait.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, and the second question.
Oh, you cannot select it.
Did you look at how Ember itself maps itself to JavaScript? So
Yes.
while you showed lots of demos where you could, let's say, use JavaScript stuff or the DOM from Smalltalk, did you also check out the other way around? That means that I could use from JavaScript the code that I've written in Smalltalk?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is easy. That's basically from this index right here. There you have a global, and you can call Ember methods. So here you call a class method from the class UK demo.
It's directly mapping to functions.
Yeah, I think so, yes. No, I haven't used it, but I think it's all transparently there. So I don't see any reason why it should not be possible to call Smalltalk stuff from JavaScript. So, but I thought you meant the other way around. So the compiler, which compiles actually into JavaScript, is all written in Smalltalk. It's all in the image. There's some inlining, okay, interpreter. I haven't looked at it. As I said, I'm an application programmer. I'm not a language designer. And I'm just happy with the illusion of having a real Smalltalk. And this illusion is really good enough for me, definitely. But if I would ever like to change the compiler, I would know where to go. So here it is. Here it all is. The AST is there. I don't know how good it is, but yeah, it's a Smalltalk, so it's approachable to me. In JavaScript, it would just not. I just couldn't deal with that.
Yeah.
Does it answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I don't see more questions in the chat, but people thank me. So thank you very much for attending. It was really nice to have you here and hear your questions, but I'm still not done. I can go to bed in 5 hours.
Worries. What I suggest is that we're gonna shut down the recording now, and then we can still leave the
maybe
room open.
Wait, one more thing. I just have a list of issues here. For example, it is very difficult to find extension methods. So that's a tooling issue, right? This would be one of my things I would like to address if I get to it. For example, this Silk is just a class and a trait, but if you look at it in the source, which I will hope I can find. Here it is. So there's the Silk methods, fine, but then there's also extensions, of course, for the, no, that's a trait, but here, association, block closure. Oh, I didn't mention that you can also add blocks to Silk, lovely. And the JS object proxy and object, of course, but you don't see anything in the browser of that. So of course, in object, you can see that kernel objects, object has this unfortunate protocol business where you find the extension. Okay, but it's really difficult to find. I mean, how can you have to go through all the classes to find the extensions? This cannot be true. So this is an issue for the tooling. The debugger is an issue. Some essential tasks have to be in JavaScript, right? External library, I haven't figured out how to do that, but it should be easy, but you have to touch JavaScript for that and the grunt thing and CSS and documentation. Oh, no, I mentioned everything. So just the extension methods is just a bugger.
I think the debugger was better in the past. I seem to recall in the very early days.
Okay.
The debugger, it must have sort of regressed in some of the changes, maybe, or maybe I'm remembering badly, but I seem to recall
maybe.
it was a bit better.
As far as I know, the debugger was always the problem.
Yeah.
Or was it maybe I've remembered badly. Maybe I'm mixing up with Seaside, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's an issue in the repository of Amber where it says rewrite the debugger or make a real AST debugger, but I guess nobody got around that yet. So
It's obviously doable. It's just time. Yeah.
Yes, of course it's doable. I mean, yeah, I don't see any reason why not. If somebody wrote a debugger before, it should be very easy to do that here because you have a real Smalltalk at hand, and there should be no problem. And you get at most to most of the information, I think, easily. I don't know if you can get all the call frames, but anyway. So I think it's doable. It's just a matter of effort of somebody doing it actually. Yep.
So Christian, your batteries might be okay for the next 5 hours, but my Chromebook batteries are about to expire, as am I. So thank you very much indeed. That was really, really excellent.
Thank you for your attention. So, okay, so see you next time then.
Bye for now.
Okay, so are we shutting down? Or you can stop the recording. I think the Smalltalk things are over now, I guess.